Good morning, Tribal Jazzman Scholar. I wanted to draw from some of the ideas of David Abram. In his book, Becoming Animal, Earthly Cosmology, he draws some beautiful, beautiful analogies between our natural environment, the different topographic experiences humans can have. Say in California, on a typical hike, you can go up through some alpine forests, then you can drop down into almost grassland-like savannas. You can in a single day, you can cross through several biomes. And in a couple chapters of his book, he talks about sort of the human mind and its thinking patterns, and how in this movement through the different regions or biomes or ecosystems, the ways we think and feel and experience alter, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. And what he's trying to argue is that the human brain, which evolved in wild nature, is very responsive, both in terms of mood, the types of thoughts we have, the ways we formulate our thinking. It's very responsive to the natural world around us and the changes that occur therein. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when certain seasons emerge in my life, in my consciousness, for the first time in a given year, so when I suddenly say, hey, winter's arrived, it hits me very suddenly and very clearly and very lucidly. Same thing I can say for possibly spring. In Southern California, those are the two that are most obvious. Maybe the only two that really exist for us in a two-season ecosystem of the chaparral. But I do notice a shift in my way of thinking and feeling, and it's very dramatic in the beginning, and then I sort of settle into this new mindset that's very much related to the given weather of that climate region. And I've lived in areas where there's very distinct seasons. I've lived in the East Coast. But what I wanted to share was that our moods are very fluid. Humans can go from a kind of a joyful, ecstatic sort of mindset to a kind of a bit maudlin and overwhelmed and even depressed mindset. And these things happen in response to experiences, to thoughts, to feelings, to anxieties, to pressures. But they're also sometimes a response to what's going on around us in terms of our weather and our climate and our seasonal changes and even the nocturnal diurnal shifts. But what I wanted to suggest was that, in fact, this may be a very, very healthy phenomenon, this process of gaining new perspective in the shift out of one way of thinking, seeing, being, feeling in terms of weather into another way of thinking or feeling. And that shift out of one into another sheds light on the previous. So there's this perspective gaining capacity of these seasonal weather changes. So yet another mechanism of our embeddedness in nature, our evolutionary history in this wild living earth, has been that it allows us to shift on a regular basis out of one way of thinking and feeling into new ways of thinking and feeling, and to do this in a cyclical way in order to shed light on perhaps the blinders that kind of grow into our way of being when we're stuck too long in one way of thinking or feeling. So I just wanted to celebrate this beautiful overcast kind of mysterious day in January, and how it is awakening in me some perspective around my own thoughts and feelings, and I welcome that, and I'm grateful that my human sensitivity is able to perceive in that way. It's something that we all carry, and I'm grateful that today, at least, I'm having those feelings and thoughts. Tribal Jazzman Scholar, thanks for joining me.